going to be.
No,
I didn't know that was ready to be announced, but that was some kick, the first one. Then the slightly easier one he missed.
always the way, isn't it?
Um, but that does round out the retiring players taking kicks at goal fad for 2018, I think. So, did you want to pick up on anything else during this game or about these two sides and the seasons they've had?
Not really. I mean, I think it'd have been interesting, wouldn't it, to have seen if what Salford could have done in the Super League, in the 23 rounds, had they made a signing like Hastings sooner.
They would have upset a few people along the way, you'd have to think, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I mean, the way he took it to Leeds in just 20 minutes in his first appearance showed the devastating potential he's got. On Toulouse, the Mitchells, a few people have talked about them being maybe not quite ready and that sort of thing, which I kind of agree. One thing for me with Toulouse is maybe they need to try and find a few younger players. They seem to have a very experienced squad there. A lot of French players who are too good for the French domestic league, maybe not quite good enough for Super League, but working towards that. But maybe by the time they get good enough, they might have other side of the hill. So maybe that's one thing they need to think about. Do you think? A few younger players. I mean, Sam Rapira's retiring from them, isn't he? So that's a gap in the squad they can try and fill with someone younger.
Yeah. Just try and get that balance a little bit better.
That's right. And keeping Corella next year is important. Hopefully for them, Ford will stay on as well. But it'd be very interesting to see. But great strides by Toulouse this year. Great entertainment. Their first campaign where they've played regularly against top level opposition. Okay, Friday night's game. Kind of the biggest game of the week in some ways, especially because Toronto made sure everyone was aware that it was the biggest game in their history. They went to the champions, Leeds Rhinos, at Headingley Stadium, and they snuck away with a 17 points to 16 victory. It was 12-10 to the Wolfpack at half time as well, so they were managed to cling on. 11,565 were there for this one. Robert Hicks was the referee, and we had plenty of people get in touch.
Yep, Tom Andrews said, can't rely on Leeds for fuck all, can you? This crusher tackle rule is too easy to exploit and needs sorting for next year.
Was that what Dom Crosby got sin-bin for? Because I was watching this game back when I got home from the Wigan game and fell asleep. So I'm guessing you didn't see it because you got back even later than me.
Yeah, I have no way of watching anything unless it's live. So.
Let's see. Dangerous contact on Darcy Lussick. Yes, you can expect it's that. Karsten said, Leeds can't score drop goals and Darcy Lussick is a grub. Wait, we already knew that, but even the penalty count was in favour of Toronto is new. I was very impressed by Sir Kev's interview after the game. Oh, Jimmy K with a shocking first half, but an important try saver and a try in the second. Jimmy Watch.
Well, it's surprising, isn't it? Tom got in before Karsten.
Yeah, how'd that happen?
He must have been sending it before the end of the match.
There you go. Yeah, although the final point was scored with only 5 minutes left of the match, and there was still opportunity for Leeds to miss another bloody drop goal this year before. God, they missed two, didn't they, in this game? Actually, they are terrible at setting up for drop goals.
Absolutely, they might have practiced by now, wouldn't you?
Well, is it that? Do you think they've been practicing it? And they're still that bad? Do you think that's what it is?
Maybe.
Because you can't imagine they've not. Myler and Moon are both very experienced players, and so is what's his face. Sutcliffe now is quite experienced as well, and he was the other man sort of in the middle of things there. So surely amongst them, you would have thought that even if the coaches hadn't led it, because that's been a bit of a farce, hasn't it?
Yeah.
But, terrible. Who's next? Anyway, it's me.
It's me. Mitchell Darts.
Oh yeah.
I used to love Gareth O'Brien kicking a monster field girl in the qualifiers, but now I hate them. Kevin Ferner we trust for next year, and hopefully the trend of title middle eights continues in 2019. It won't continue beyond that, will it?
Yeah. At Wolfpack TO, although if they get relegated the year after, I'd give up. No, I'm joking. No, I wouldn't. Wolfpack TO says, Wolfpack Pactio, says, a brilliant result from Toronto, who many wrote off to beat Leeds. Proud to see that despite injuries and the rest, that Toronto stood tall and took their chances. A drop goal to win from Gaz O'Brien. Where have we seen that before? Yeah, on the injuries situation. When we get to the NRL Grand Final, we're going to talk about some real, suck up the pain, get injected and get through it, and toughness there. But in this game, Blake Wallace looked like he was done for when he turned over his ankle, and yet still managed to play a really effective role in the rest of the game after that point, and possibly was the most important man for them. So I thought, credit to him. Who's next?
Cutthroat Jake. I've not heard from him for a while. This is how our season ends.
I have. He's been very busy.
Okay.
But he is still in touch. So nice to hear from you, John, in a match review too.
Yeah. This is how our season ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper. Never in the game of rugby league has so little been erred by so many to so few. When Moon announced before the match he was retiring, I never realised he meant immediately.
Yeah, and he didn't get any sort of fairy tale way out, and then he had to deal with Angela Powers asking him questions, I think. So was it
so good?
Was it Angela, or was it what's his face? Bill? I'm not sure, but either way, he wasn't happy. He was very sad, I think, and fair enough. He's not had the way he deserved to go out, considering how he was quality for 3 years at Leeds, and this year there's not been a supporting cast really. Lots of hard work to be done. Rich Wilkinson said, enough done by the Rhinos to stay up. That's all that matters. Shit season, big changes in attitude and personnel needed.
Yep, and John Hamilton says, glad to get the season over and still be in Super League. That match summed up the year, really. Lack of attacking ideas, inconsistent defence, and generally not quite up to scratch. A sad way for some good players to finish, but there we go.
Martin Simpson says, despite the 2:45 start in Toronto, there was a buzz. Teachers showed it in classrooms, people left work early, and more people than some championship games went to the pub. Toronto won a thriller and even lost the penalty count. But I find out after that it was actually a boring game, and Toronto bring nothing. Next Sunday will be torture, but we will get to experience Lamport one more time. I'm off to watch the terrible game a third time. Yeah, Sinfield was a bit critical of the game, and Rowley was saying how great it must have been for the neutral. The fact that when I was watching it back, when I got home, I fell asleep during the second half, says that it wasn't a rip-roar in my view either. I'm kind of closer to the Sinfield camp on that, but I imagine for Wolfpack fans it had serious excitement and tension.
Yeah.
The drop goal by Gareth O'Brien, glorious again from him. He doesn't even need the same level of setup that the Leeds players need. The Leeds players can get into a good position and mess it up, whereas he can just get the ball 40 odd metres out and spank it over and see you later. So well done to him. There was a couple of nice tries in it from Toronto as well. The one that kind of was the most crucial one, the Matty Russell one, was a very neat kick that he picked up. But I thought the try just before half time was really good play by the Wolfpack, and showed what they can do when they're not being grubby and that sort of stuff. So well done to them for that. And they were kind of always edging ahead throughout. So you've got to say they deserved it. And I'm glad they took it, even though it was a narrow one. Definitely well done to them for that. Okay. Saturday night's TV game was London versus Halifax, and actually Halifax went into the sheds at half-time 16 points to 12 up on the road, but London managed to pull it back and win 23-16 in the end. 869 were there. Gareth Hewer was the referee. I think, all the praise we give to London, that crowd figure still is the concern, but we'll fly past that and talk about the match reviews, because we do know some great people that do go and watch those games.
Yep, so Dr. Hideous said, given that Hull KR will beat Widnes and that Leeds let us all down, the result of this match was utterly irrelevant for both teams, and they knew it. It occasionally stuttered into life, and every so often you'd think the Broncos were going to run away with it, but then they'd revert to being an uncoordinated mess, certainly not looking like a Super League team in waiting.
Paul Chamberlain said, piss poor game, and thanks to the RFL I had to watch it on TV. At least 5th secures the maximum funding for next season. Hopefully we don't go up, as we couldn't currently cope, but structures and youth are in place to press on moving forward. Fair play to Facts that they kept on going even after a disappointing qualifiers. Great honesty there from Paul, I think, and good summation of things. This was an awful game. Credit to Halifax, because they did quite good. But Jay Pitts being forced to play at 6 really upsets things for London, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that they plugged away in the forwards a little bit, and Alex Walker still showed a few flashes. I think Elliot Keir was decent in the game for them as well, but overall, those kind of strike weapons that London have didn't get the ball enough. Credit a little bit to Halifax for helping make that be the case, but really, just not good enough from London in this game. But maybe there was too much pressure on it, or I'm not sure. Pressure/complacency. It could be one or the other, because they kind of obviously felt like they were going to be in, didn't they?
Yeah.
But at the same time, they needed, the better they did, the more chance of having the game at home there would be. So, I don't know. Pretty lackluster one, this one. It wasn't the greatest watch, was it?
To be honest, I was watching Strictly with the kids.
Well, so was I, and then I watched this after.
Yeah.
That's where we're at with this.
See, as I said, I can't watch it if it's not live.
Yeah. Let's move on then to Hulkington Rovers on Sunday hosted the Widnes Vikings. 30-0 it finished. It was 20-0 at half-time. It was over by half-time. We knew what was happening at that stage. I think 8,232 were there. Chris Kendall was the referee. Obviously, all the controversy in the build-up was about is this right, that basically Widnes are playing to, if they win, they get less funding. And the RFL came out of a statement, or the Super League came out of a statement, basically confirming that was the case, but saying, but Widnes have promised to uphold the integrity of the competition, so don't worry about it. And let's be honest, Widnes were never going to win this game in the greatest of,
Yeah, no, I saw some Widnes fans tweeting about, how do they think we're actually going to, Yeah.
Coming back over from Toronto, season in tatters, all of them thinking more about their futures and whether the contracts on the table are the right deals for them than about playing rugby league. Let's be honest. So there's a few players playing the less games, Aaron Herremeier and Chris Houston, so that might have provided some motivation, but in reality, not enough against a side who actually needed to win. And we're full of creative players in the spine, and we did get a few people getting in touch about this one.
We did. Tom Andrews said, Toronto might have the RFL tossing them off under the table, but we have a wizard at the helm. I've been a Hull KR fan so long I didn't believe we would be safe until the final whistle went. Tommy Lee, you
only have to be a fan for 4 years to get that.
Yeah. Tommy Lee, Nick Scruton and Bobby Blair were all fantastic. Glad this soap opera level of a dramatic season is over. We go again next year. P.S. Thanks for listening to my rants and insights for the second half of this year.
Absolutely our pleasure, Tom. You've made us laugh on an almost weekly basis. But this week, the person making us laugh the most was FC Page. She said, for Tom HKR, I can think of 250 reasons why you guys won today. When's that open top bus parade? # still a shit team. Love you. Black and white, black and white, black and white.
And always in our shadow said, so the Dobbins got 2 points and Widnes keep the 250k. Who would have believed it? Losses in the 8th proved Mr. Sheen couldn't polish a turd.
Well, he polished him well enough to finish 3rd, so well done to them on that. A tough week as well with the Sean Lunt news. So some of the players obviously have stepped up there. And I think they need to tighten up that squad, Hull KR. They need to get a grip on kind of who are the best players and focus around that rather than having 30 players all just about good enough to not get relegated from Super League. They might want to think about focusing on getting maybe 23, 24 players good enough to push up in the table in Super League, because otherwise it could be a weird season for them again next year, where they might be biting the fingernails to the end. And that's not me wanting to be mean to Hull KR, because I think they've got some talented players across that squad. I just